Hi everyone, and welcome back to Newswave. I'm Mia Hammond, and today is April 2nd, 2021. Here are today's top stories. Trinity University President Danny Anderson announced last Wednesday that the Spring 2021 commencement ceremony will be held in person. On Saturday, May 22nd, the ceremony will be held socially distanced on the football stadium with two separate sessions, one for Bachelor of Arts in Music at 8 a.m. and another at 11 a.m. for Bachelor of Science. Students are allowed 4 ticketed guests. We now take it over to Devan for a look at how the students are feeling about this news. So Devan, how are things looking?
Well, Mia, as you can see, I'm on campus right now, right behind the football field where the in-person graduation for the spring is going to take place. And from what I can see, seniors seem to be pretty happy that it's going on.
Well, we certainly look forward to what the students have to say.
Thanks, Mia. I'll keep you updated and informed right now. Well, as you can see, I'm standing at the football field behind me where the Spring 2021 graduation commencement ceremony is going to be held. Last Wednesday, Trinity University President Danny Anderson announced this through an email to all of Trinity. The ceremony is going to be divided into two parts. At 8 a.m., students will be able to receive their Bachelors of Arts in Music, and at 11 a.m., students will be able to receive their Bachelors of Science. Students are going to have 4 ticketed members each, which they can bring to watch the ceremony. It will also be held virtually through a live streaming event where students are going to be able to see if they're not tuned in person. For the graduation ceremony at 3 p.m., students are going to be able to be in person at Laurie Auditorium, as the number of graduate students meets the requirements for social distancing.
I think that it is a good opportunity to see everyone and see so many professors in person.
Daniela John, a communications and English double major, is excited at the prospect of a traditional graduation.
It feels nice to be considered because I feel like seniors have kind of been an afterthought a lot this year.
It's definitely relieving to kind of have a definite plan.
Parker Lacey, a computer science major, tells us how he plans to use his 4 tickets to the commencement.
My parents are already vaccinated, and my fiance as well. So they're all 3 planning on coming, and will definitely be 3 of those tickets.
Just because the event may be happening, that doesn't mean that these seniors are without their own concerns about the weather or if they'll even be able to attend in the first place.
Obviously, the weather is going to be something that we'll have to factor in. I'm sure it will be hot, but
I'm going to wait to see when they send out the final notice and just take in consideration how Texas is doing and the vaccination rates and stuff like that. And if it does feel safe enough, it is something that I will consider going to.
Overall, seniors seem pretty happy to be able to have this ceremony in person. After all, it's really monumental. For Newswave 14, I'm Devan Karp.
Thanks for the update, Devan. Like most campuses around the country, Trinity is experiencing low campus engagement this year. Yet sometimes fun events pop up that allow students to socialize and have fun safely. A big example of that was this year's Greek Life recruitment event and bid day, which provided the opportunity for students to safely socialize with only a few changes. With COVID-19 safety protocols allowing only one-on-one rush dates to occur, developing and planning for in-person events was difficult to say the least. With the pandemic, there were concerns that Greek Life would only be able to recruit half of their usual number. However, Greek Life was able to maintain a strong new number of recruits through emphasizing the effort to make this year's rushing events as engaging as possible. Well, only time will tell for the outcome of the university's Greek Life. Coming up after the break, we're going to give you a look at the 2021 NCAA Women's Basketball Tournament. Plus, an update on COVID-19 vaccinations in the state of Texas. Be sure to stick with us.
This is our home. This is our studio, filled with empty seats and cameras waiting to press record again. With remote classes and the COVID-19 pandemic, it's hard not to feel like we've lost a community on campus. When we're not on campus, it's hard to feel home. But home isn't just a place. It's a feeling. And here at Tiger TV, we're bringing that feeling to you. Because while our studio is waiting for us, we haven't stopped bringing you the shows you need. Get involved with some of our diverse programming like Newswave, Studio 21, and The Not So Late Show. Tune in to our YouTube and Vimeo channels if you miss some of the quality campus television programming we make. Just because we're remote, that doesn't mean we're not still together. Because here, Home is more than just a place. Home is Tiger TV.
According to the Texas Department of State Health Services, all adults on March 29th will be eligible to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. An increase in production and availability across the country has led to almost 10 million Texans having at least part of the vaccine. Roughly 6 million have received the first dose, and about 3 million people are fully vaccinated. The Department of State Health Services asked that people at greater risk of death and hospitalization with underlying health conditions still be prioritized. The Department of State Health Services has created a website and toll-free number that offers a way for people to sign up for the vaccine.
San Antonio D1 women's basketball fans were overjoyed when the NCAA announced that the Alamo City would be hosting the 2021 basketball championship. The tournament was set to feature 64 teams competing from March 24th through April 4th, with one leaving the Alamo City as a D1 women's basketball national champion. Now the organization is facing additional criticism for allegedly changing already purchased tickets with little notice to fans. This left customers in a bind and without the tickets they originally purchased.
Hello, this is Ticketmaster fan support. Your event is still on, but it's at a new time. NCAA Women's Basketball Elite 8, Alamo Dome, Monday, March 29th at 6 p.m. The new time is 8 p.m.
At 8 a.m. this morning, we did get a call from Ticketmaster saying our times did get changed from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., which is very frustrating because we did purchase these tickets 4 weeks in advance. So the teams we actually wanted to watch were at the 6 o'clock game, not at the 8 o'clock game. So that kind of left us in a bundle of us watching two teams we did not want to watch. So we had to purchase new tickets for the 6 p.m. game, and we got stuck with those 8 p.m. ticket games.
With Tiger TV Newswave 14, this is Kailey Lopez, Newswave reporting.
CNN recently got to look into a crowded Border Patrol facility in South Texas. Here's a look at the growing number of families who are crossing the U.S.-Mexican border.
Hola. This is what the Biden administration has not allowed America to see. To tell this story, we were escorted by Texas state troopers. Lines of migrants on Texas trails along the Rio Grande. Nancy is pregnant and cried describing her painful journey from Honduras. Ronnie says his family fled Honduras due to devastation from 2 recent hurricanes. And under this bridge, even more lines of migrants. Their silhouettes beyond the trees, a sign America's immigration system is overwhelmed.
Please stand. Thank you.
During his first formal press conference, President Biden said,
I will commit to transparency.
And while one pool news camera was allowed inside an HHS facility for unaccompanied migrant children this week, it was a sanitized version of reality, far removed from the bottleneck of this border processing facility. U.S. Customs and Border Protection releasing their own video this week. CNN's repeated requests for access to immigration processing facilities have been denied. The day we captured this video, Texas state troopers were our guides.
As soon as they make landfall, that's considered the U.S. side for us.
The cartels will...
Sent here by Governor Greg Abbott earlier this month to thwart smugglers.
It's a way to suffocate and put a lot of pressure on the cartel.
Victor Escalon is the top cop in charge of what Abbott calls Operation Lone Star.
As Border Patrol gets tied up with processing migrants that come across, they'll leave miles at times open on the river.
That's where Texas steps in, by water, air, and by ground, says Escalon, to fill the gaps of security on the Rio Grande. According to state troopers, if you look closely in between those trees, you'll see a camp, some sort of staging area on the Mexican side. I'm on the U.S. side, and this is one of the hot spots they described, an area, a trail that is used by migrants, and you can clearly see the path. The landscape is peppered with evidence that it is used by migrants. We see clothes, documents, masks, all leading to these dirt trails with arrows pointing migrants to the immigration processing center under the bridge. Nancy says feeling hungry for two was the worst part of the journey.
De Honduras.
While most of the migrants I met said they made the trek to the U.S. because they were poor, this little girl was rich in faith. Ending our conversation by saying thanks and God bless you.
After the break, we'll be getting an update on the mass shooting in Boulder, Colorado. Stay tuned for more.
We've all been there. Seeing people not follow the rules, watching some wayward citizen breaking the law. Well, not the law, but basically the law. Today, I'm going to show you how to be a COVID superhero. Okay, sound a little weird, but anyways, here are some things that you should watch out for. If you don't represent a household, then you must socially distance. Look at these guys over here.
Gotcha.
I caught him. When you're indoors, you must always wear a mask. Flush, and I don't think she washed her hands. Remember, after using the restroom, wash your hands for at least 20 seconds or sanitize. Oh, hey! And finally, if you have any symptoms of COVID, but you're not really sure what it is, always make sure to stay home! And that's all, folks.
Police continue to search for a motive that drove 21-year-old Ahmad Al-Alawi Alyssa to kill 10 people in a Boulder, Colorado grocery store. The suspect walked into the King Superstore with a military-style semi-automatic rifle and a pistol. The FBI knew of Alyssa because he was connected to another individual currently under investigation. Alyssa had previously been convicted for a misdemeanor assault against another student in 2018. Classmates of his at nearby Arvada West High School say Alyssa was known to have a fierce temper, and his brother described Alyssa as mentally ill, paranoid, and antisocial. Alyssa was born in Syria but has spent most of his life in the United States. CNN has been learning more and more disturbing news about the alleged gunman in the Boulder mass shooting. Take a look.
Colorado Governor Jared Polis calls him evil. 21-year-old Ahmad Al-Alawi Alyssa is now behind bars, facing 10 counts of first-degree murder after police say he turned a supermarket into a mass shooting scene, claiming the lives of 10 people.
No one really ever expected him to do this type of thing because he was a cool guy, you know? He didn't really have friends, though.
Posts from the alleged gunman's now scrubbed Facebook profile show Alyssa made paranoid posts believing his former high school had been hacking his phone and made homophobic remarks in other posts.
People chose not to mess with him because of his temper. People chose not to really talk to him because of all how he acted and things like that. So, yeah, he was very alone.
If he had mental health issues, he also had easy access to firearms.
In the nation's capital, flags are at half-staff for the second time in less than a week. 2 back-to-back mass shootings, triggering a contentious battle over gun laws on Capitol Hill.
Thoughts and prayers is all we have heard from my colleagues on the other side.
When you disarm law-abiding citizens, you make them more likely to be victims.
Now, a judge's recent decision to block a ban on assault weapons in the city of Boulder is in question.
I don't know where those guns were purchased, so I don't know if they were purchased in the city of Boulder. I mean, it's a tragic coincidence, you know, that our ban was struck down just before this incredibly awful tragedy happened.
In Boulder, Colorado, I'm Daryl Forges.
Coming up, we have an update on all things sports from Kyle. plus some lighter news to brighten your day. Don't go anywhere.
We've all been there. Seeing people not follow the rules, watching some wayward citizen breaking the law. Well, not the law, but basically the law. Today, I'm going to show you how to be a COVID superhero. Okay, sound a little weird, but anyways, here are some things that you should watch out for. If you don't represent a household, then you must socially distance. Look at these guys over here. Caught you. I caught him. When you're indoors, you must always wear a mask. Flush, and I don't think she washed her hands. Remember, after using the restroom, wash your hands for at least 20 seconds or sanitize. Oh, hey! And finally, if you have any symptoms of COVID, but you're not really sure what it is, always make sure to stay home! And that's all, folks.
In lighter news, HEB is about to kick off their Texas Loves Teachers Tour in San Antonio. HEB has held a long-standing tradition of the HEB Excellence in Education Awards program, and since its creation in 2002 has awarded more than $13 million in grants and prizes. However, because of the pandemic, the annual Excellence in Education Awards has been postponed. But despite this postponement, HEB has decided to launch a Texas Loves Teachers Tour in which they will visit 50 schools, school districts, and early childhood educational centers all within 50 days, giving away $20,000 in HEB gift cards each week. Each tour stop was determined by public voting, and the lucky schools and educational centers will receive an HEB event with gift card giveaways, branded items, coupon books for free items, and much more. Well, we now take it away for Kyle with all things sports. What do you have for us today, Kyle?
Hey, thanks, Mia. We had another week jam-packed with Tiger sports in action. We'll start with men's soccer as they trounced St. Thomas 5-2 last weekend here at home. The match started off at a snail's pace as neither squad managed to score a goal in the first half, but just 5 minutes into the second half, the Tigers found their first goal of the game as Peter Blank slotted one past the keeper. Philip Dunez and Fraser Burns both slotted goals of their own for Trinity to push the advantage to 3 before Jesus Falas scored in the 78th minute for good measure. St. Thomas finally scored in the 81st minute, but Trinity answered just a minute later with a goal of their own. The scoring outburst saw Trinity take a total of 16 shots, including 11 in the second half alone. The team faces off against Texas Lutheran tomorrow at 4 here at home. Softball faced off against St. Thomas in a doubleheader last weekend where the Tigers split the series and now stand at 5-4 on the season. The first game saw the Tigers leave a total of 10 runners on base, including leaving the bases loaded twice. After managing only 7 hits, the Tigers fell 3-6 to the Celts, but rebounded in the second game of the doubleheader with a 4-3 victory. Allie Holbrook earned the win for the Tigers after settling down and allowing 0 runs and just 4 hits in the final 6 innings. Jordan Williams put the Tigers up for good with a 2 RBI single in the 5th inning, and the team does look to build off a solid performance as they travel to Austin to face the Roos in a doubleheader today. The women's golf team placed second, just behind Mary Hardin Baylor, in this past week's Lady Crusader Spring Invitational. Erin Flynn led the way for the Tigers as she saw a score of 156 across both days, which was good enough for third individually, while teammates Katarina Mora-Adriver and Delaney Kelly finished 5th and 6th, respectively. This was the team's last look at action before they tee off in the SCAC Championship in Blanco later this month. The number 1 ranked Trinity Tigers baseball team completed the sweep of St. Thomas last weekend and improved their win streak to 6 games and looked dangerous after COVID outbreaks on the team earlier in the season. The first game of the doubleheader featured a total of 15 hits from the Tigers, including crucial extra base hits by Christian Holloway and Tyler Petit in the 4th inning to put the Tigers up for good. The second game featured 13 runs put up by the Tigers, but the Celts nearly came away with the win, if not for the ropes of closer Harrison Duro in the bottom of the 9th. The team currently is playing a doubleheader against Austin College here at home and Mary Hardin Baylor next Tuesday at 7. We'll finish with a rundown of other Trinity sports you might have missed from this past week, starting with men's tennis beating Incarnate Word last weekend in the Battle of Hildebrand Avenue, where senior Jordan Pitts secured the comeback against the D1 Cardinals. The track and field team traveled to Seguin to compete in the D3 Challenge this past weekend, where Cassandra Williams finished first in the 800 meters and Jen Leonce took first in the 400-meter hurdles. The team looks to build off this great performance at San Angelo Meet this weekend. And lastly, volleyball team swept St. Thomas last week to stretch their SCAC winning streak to 6 games. And that's all I have for you folks this week. Make sure to tune in next week for all things Trinity Athletics. Back to you, Mia.
Thanks for the update, Kyle. Danielle Jean is back at it with more gardening tips for the spring season. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Daniela John, and let's talk tulips. My mom found these tulip plants propagated in water on sale, so she bought 2 vases. Tulips are a very interesting flower. Although many people equate tulips to the Netherlands, they are actually native to Asia. Tulips are part of the lily family and consist of 150 species. They are said to signal spring as they are one of the first plants to begin to bloom. Unfortunately, tulips only bloom for 3 to 7 days. However, if you cut the stem from the bulb, the flowers will survive for a little longer. As you can see, my tulips flowered and wilted very quickly. We removed the stem and began drying the bulbs for a few days to plant in our yard. Here we have some sunflowers growing under our bird feeder. If they get picky, they'll throw the seeds, providing us with new blooms. Call upon your canine helpers and begin digging a hole of about 8 inches. Then you can cover your bulbs with dirt and hope for a bloom early next spring.
Last week, acute theft occurred in Dollar General store in Duplin County, North Carolina. A 1-year-old stray dog named Sisu stole a plush unicorn doll 5 times in a row. According to the officials, an animal control officer purchased the unicorn doll before they transferred Sisu to the county shelter. Right now, Sisu and her stuffed friend are rescued safely and waiting to be adopted. At the same time, the photos of Sisu and the unicorn doll have gone viral on social media. Well, that's all the news we have for you this week. My name is Mia Hammond, and thank you for joining me here on Newswave.